We're going to focus first this morning on the COVID pandemic. No matter where you are in the state, the number of new cases is trending down. But remember, we've been here before. Governor Abbott now says that the coronavirus hospitalizations and the number of positive cases, they must go down before he will allow bars to reopen in Texas. No place was hit harder with the virus than in Harris County. It has the largest population in the state. 4.5 million people live there, and it has had more than 87,000 cases of COVID so far. So with us from Houston this morning is the top elected official there. It is Harris County Judge Lina Hidalgo. Judge, good morning to you.
Good morning.
The cases are trending down, and I noticed that your team just released a roadmap to reopen schools. Here's the question I have. Do you expect that we're going to see another surge in cases over Labor Day and whenever students return to class?
Absolutely. And even if we look at the present right now, we're seeing some promising indicators, but they're still quite concerning compared to what we had back in March and April when schools first shut down, and compared to the success stories that we've seen in other places around the country and in other places around the world. And this is what I don't want us to lose sight on. We can't give up early again. We have to make sure that before we proclaim victory and start reopening things, that hospitalization curve comes way down to 10-20% of peak, that those cases come way down, because those cases will predict another hospitalization wave. Positivity rate, that comes down. We got to look at the confluence of factors, and right now things are looking a little bit better, but I can tell you, at least here, our cases are still very concerning, our deaths still very concerning, and the hospitalization rates, while lower, are still incredibly high, and to a point where opening schools in particular and any kind of gathering would be irresponsible.
Well, I want to talk about the county budget from here as well, too. Let's talk property taxes. Last year, you wanted to raise the county tax rate at up to 8%. Last week, though, I believe you suggested the county would need more funds to provide additional services, which you say are required. Are you going to try for another 8% hike again this year?
Not this year. It's, we knew that we had to have a strong rainy day fund, that we were underfunded in public health and healthcare in so many areas. And that's why last year we tried to do that in preparation for a time like this. Right now, people need us more than ever. It's not a time where we can raise taxes. Back in 2008, there was a huge number of layoffs, thousands of folks, a huge demand for county services, and we were trading at $80 a barrel in oil. These days, it's lower. We're having to decrease that supply, and we're seeing a worse economic crisis. And so it is very, very concerning. That's why we need that support from the federal government to help support our budget. And certainly for us, no way could we go to 8%, but we do have to make sure how we're going to be able to afford the additional services, the additional support that people are going to need, because that's what government needs to be there for. And look, that's why we put out this roadmap for schools. Is right now, there is no plan, right? The educators, the teachers, the parents, administrators are all wondering what to do. They're saying they're not physicians, they're not doctors. And so we need a realistic plan that is focused on science, that's not trying to balance the politics with the science, but is looking at just the science and how do we get our schools back sustainably. That doesn't mean, hey, I want it now. No, we have to do the work.
Right.
We haven't brought that curve down, so we got to do the work.
Yeah, and Judge, the recommendations, I believe, are at readyharris.org for people who are interested in that. I want to get back to the budget for a moment, though. With or without any help from the federal government, which we don't know if it's going to happen, do you expect layoffs inside Harris County?
I hope not, but if 2008 is any indication, the recession, then it's certainly a possibility, and it's something we're bracing for. We're bracing for very tough times next year. That hasn't kept us from helping people. We have supported not just with federal funds, but we've actually used local funds, $30 million to support folks who don't qualify for federal aid with individual assistance, and of course making the most of all those federal funds, over $50 million for direct assistance, over $40 million for small businesses, $25 million for renters. We've now invested over $30 million for devices, for computers, and for hotspots for our schools. We're saying it's not safe to go back to school right now. It's in your hands to bring those curves down. In the meantime, the county's going to step up and make sure that the school districts don't have to front the money for these devices, and every child in Harris County who needs one has a computer and has internet.
Judge, we have about 30 seconds left here. I want to ask you about Joe Biden selecting Senator Kamala Harris as his running mate. Do you think that changes the race in Texas at all?
I think it's exciting. You know, people come up to me all the time, or they used to anyway, before the pandemic. Young women, mothers saying we need these role models. And I think that is so important, so refreshing. Great person. And look, I don't like to wade into politics in the middle of a pandemic, but I think he'll be fantastic. She'll be wonderful. And it's change that we need for this response, for one.
Gotcha. Judge Lina Hidalgo from Harris County, thanks, and good to see you as always.
Thank you.